Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. And I should point out that attending are Commissioners Brooks and Fillios. Commissioner Leslie Duncan is on vacation this week. Okay, then, so moving on to the payables list.
I move that we approve the payables list as contained in the business meeting agenda and package.
Okay, and that's in the amount of $625,656.12. End of motion? Second?
We're not
That's
used
true.
to this. We're
It's a little different today. Okay, yep.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Yeah, go right ahead. Okay, so item 15, which was the memorandum dealing with holiday use practice for our sheriff's organization, is pulled from the agenda. Thank you, Terry. Okay, item number 1, professional services agreement for engineering services with parametrics, solid waste. JP.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. JP or John Phillips for the record. The Solid Waste Department is seeking approval to enter into a professional services agreement with Parametrics Incorporated, an engineering firm. This is for pre-construction oversight, design work, project management for the construction of a new 40 by 60 building at the landfill, including some early earthwork and compaction testing. This agreement has been reviewed by legal. The total cost is $102,958.68.
Okay, questions? Motion.
I move that we approve the professional services agreement with engineering services for the parametrics, with parametrics? is it then?
Parametrics.
Okay, and solid waste.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Before we move on to the second item, I should point out that items 5 and 6, dealing with the airport will be moved to the end of the agenda, as we might need a little more time there. Okay, moving on to the second item, independent contractor agreement for the Harrison Breakwater repair with North Idaho Maritime and its Parks and Waterways Director, Nick Snyder.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nick Snyder for the record. Commissioners, before you is a contract with North Idaho Maritime in the amount of $53,000, which is necessary to repair and replace those damaged steel pilings and the log boom at the Harrison Breakwater, which was damaged in that recent windstorm. These costs will ultimately be paid by ICRIMP, less our standard deductible.
Okay, fair enough. Any questions? Motion.
I move that we
Commissioners?
approve.
I'm sorry, go right ahead, Nick. Oh, he's fine, go ahead.
I move that we approve the independent contractor agreement for the Harrison Breakwater repair between North Idaho Maritime and Parks and Waterways.
Second.
Nick Snyder.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Moving on to the third item. Excuse me, independent contractor agreement for the boathouse roof repair with Icon Roofing, Inc., Parks and Waterways again. Nick?
Yes, Commissioners, forgive me, I lost connection. Were you able to finish item number 2?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Nick Snyder again for the record. Before you is a contract with Icon Roofing in the amount of $9,800, which is necessary to repair the county's boathouse roof, which was also damaged in the recent windstorm, and these costs as well will ultimately be paid by ICRIMP less our deductible.
Nick, what is our deductible? Do you know?
Please don't hold me to this, Commissioner. I recall it being $3,500.
Yeah, that's about right. That's what I thought too. Okay. Bill, questions?
I move that we hold him to it.
Nick, it's coming out of your paycheck. Anyway.
No questions.
Oh boy, I better hope I was at.
Motion?
I move that we approve the independent contractor agreement for the boathouse roof repair with Icon Roofing and Parks and Waterways.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion's carried. Item number 4. First Amendment for Service Level Agreement for Electronic Transaction and Access, Payport Electronic Payments, Parks and Waterways. Nick?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nick Snyder for the record again. Before you, as well as an amendment to the county's existing contract with Access Idaho, which is the organization that processes our credit card transactions. Presently, a 3% transaction fee is charged to the purchaser by Access Idaho for all the departments other than Parks and Waterways. This amendment corrects that issue. Parks and Waterways is currently absorbing that 3% on each of those transactions. So the Auditor's Office, Treasurer, Legal Counsel have all reviewed the amendment and are supported as presented.
Okay. Questions? Motion?
I move that we approve the First Amendment on the service level agreement with electronic transactions and access and Payport electronic payments in the Parks and Waterways. Now this, I understand, Nick, that this is going to increase the amount of money to the county?
It would, yes, Commissioner. It would pass that 3% fee along to the purchaser or our customer, rather, as is commensurate with the other departments.
Very good, thank you.
Motion. Oh, you made the motion. Okay, second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 7, skipping over 5 and 6. Item number 7, development and ground lease for AAL-2021-200 for Timberland Construction Services, LLC at the airport. Stephen.
Commissioner Stephen Kjergaard for the record. This is a new lease hangar for hangar development on the airport with Timberland Construction. It is $2,777.63 per year, and that's a rate of 0.208 cents per square foot.
Okay. Questions? Motion.
I move that we approve the development and ground lease AAL-2021-200 with Timberland Construction Services, LLC in the airport.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 8, professional services agreement for the Cougar Gulch Reconnaissance Survey with the Party of Boswell. Resource Management Office. Kim?
Yes, Kim Riley for the record. This is a professional services agreement between Kootenai County and Sharon Boswell for the Cougar Gulch Reconnaissance Survey. The contract amount is $4,900, which will be funded by the FY20 Certified Local Government Grant. The match is in kind.
Okay. Kim, just quickly, what's meant by a reconnaissance survey?
That's where they go in. It's part of the Historical Preservation Committee, so they're going to go in and look at the project where they're trying to determine what could be determined to be a historical landmark. So this is the work on the front end, and then we have more grants coming forward where they would continue to do that work. This is just specific to the Cougar Gulch area.
Okay, fair enough. Motion?
I move that we approve the development, oh, no, that's the wrong one. Professional services agreement, Cougar Gulch Reconnaissance Survey, Boswell and Resource Management Office.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 9, fiscal year 21 certifications and assurances with our Kootenai County Public Transportation. Once again, Kim Riley for the Resource Management Office.
Thank you, Kim Riley for the record. This is for every year to apply for federal funding through FTA. We have to complete our certs and assurances. So these are those items for FY21. They have been reviewed by legal.
Motion.
I move that we approve the FY21 certification and assurances between Kootenai County Public Transportation and the Resource Management Office.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Excuse me. Aye, and the motion's carried. Item number 10, Kootenai County Public Transportation Strategic Service Plan for Rural and Rural Mobility. Once again, Kim for the Resource Management Office.
Yes, this is a proposal for a strategic service plan with the METS Group. The amount is $39,930. We do have federal funding already in line for this with a planning award. The match will be either in kind, or if we need extra dollars to extend it a little bit, we could use our local government contribution cash.
Fair enough. Question?
That would not be Kootenai County. That would be the amounts that are contributed by the cities.
Okay, our partners. Fair enough. Thank you. Motion?
I move that we approve the Kootenai County Public Transportation Strategic Services Plan, Urban and Rural Mobility from Resource Management Office.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion's carried. Item number 11, grant use agreement for the 2020 State Homeland Security Grant Program with the City of Coeur d'Alene and the Office of Emergency Management. Once again, Kim, Resource Management Office.
I believe Rachel will take care of these.
Go ahead, Rachel.
This is Rachel Irish for the record, Office of Emergency Management. 11, 12, and 13, I don't know if you want to do them as a group, but this is for a shared project between the City of Coeur d'Alene Fire, Northern Lakes Fire, and Kootenai Fire and Rescue. It is a project that, was approved under the 2020 SHSP State Homeland Security Grant to provide equipment for the rescue task force.
Okay, any questions? Want me to make this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm going to group items 11, 12, and 13. This is the grant use agreement for the 2020 State Homeland Security Grant Program with the cities of Coeur d'Alene, or City of Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, and Northern Lakes Fire Protection District, respectively, and our Office of Emergency Management, brought to us by the Resource Management Office.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried for items 11, 12, and 13. Item 14, Cooperative Law Enforcement Annual Operating Plan and Financial Plan with the USDA Forest Service, KCSO. Lieutenant Higgins?
Yeah, Lieutenant Higgins here for the record. This is our co-op agreement between the U.S. Forest Service and the Kootenai County. It will, the agreement this year went up a little bit in dollars. We get $12,100 for the services provided in the backcountry. That is for salaries, and or it can be used, 45% of it can be used for equipment that's related to backcountry use.
Fair enough. Motion?
I move that we approve the Cooperative Law Enforcement Annual Operating Plan and Financial Plan with the USDA Forest Service and KCSO.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 15 is stricken. Moving on to item 16, awarding the duty weapon, which is customary, the badge and the ID card for the retirement of Deputy Mike Douglas, KCSO. Lieutenant Higgins?
That's correct. Lieutenant Higgins for the record. Deputy Douglas, after 27 years, has decided to finally retire, and his retirement date is March 15th, and we'd like to reward him as a duty weapon, badge, and ID card.
Motion.
Just will say he's been a great help around the county building. I think anybody who goes in and out the back door will attest to that. I move that we award duty weapon, badge, ID card, and retirement on the retirement of Deputy Douglas from KSCO.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, the motion's carried. Item number 17, agreement for merchant processing with community development and IT. Matt?
Yeah, this is Matthew Snow for the record. This contract is for the credit card processor for new community development software. It was included in our project costs, so there's no additional fees. And the important part is the 3% fee is being passed on to the credit card purchaser, not the county.
Okay. Motion?
I move that we approve the agreement between Merchant Service Processing, Community Development, and Information Technology.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Excuse me, item number 18, Pictometry International Corp. I guess this is an agreement for GIS services with our information technology. Is this you again, Matt? Oh,
Oh,
Dave,
we haven't seen you for a while.
No, I don't come up very often, but this is one of the few times each year. Dave Christensen for the record. I'm bringing you today an agreement to do an air photo flight this summer. The funds were procured during the normal budgetary process for the fiscal year, and this is simply the contract to be signed. We'll fly this spring and be delivered early spring.
and presumably legal's reviewed.
Correct.
Okay. Motion?
What number is this?
18.
18. Sorry, my glasses fell off. I move that we approve the agreement between Pictometry International Corp. And GIS and with information technology.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion's carried. Thank you, Dave. Item number 19, First Amendment to the Independent Contractor Agreement with Mr. Wickman for the Aquifer Protection District, BOCC. Nancy Jones.
Thank you, Commissioner. Communications Manager Nancy Jones for the record. Last fall, the board approved a contract between the Aquifer Protection District Policy and Budget Committee and Rand Wickman Planning, LLC, for a project for consulting services related to protecting critical aquifer recharge areas. This amendment, which was drafted by internal legal, will allow Mr. Rickman to subcontract some engineering work that needs to be done in association with that project. The cost estimate is $4,450, and this amount is included in the fiscal 21 APD budget.
Fair enough. Motion.
I move that we approve the First Amendment to the Independent Contractor Agreement between Wickman and Aquifer Protection District, the Board of Commissioners.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion's carried. Item number 20, there's no vote required. I'm just going to read something into the record. Commissioner Leslie Duncan moved that the board exit executive session with staff to proceed as discussed in the agreement for outside counsel to be hired in the amount of $2,500 in one case and $5,000 in the other case to come from contingency. Commissioner Brooks seconded the motion, and this is simply ratifying a decision that we made last week.
If you're going to ratify it, you need to actually take a vote.
Okay, so motion to ratify?
Move that we ratify the expense related to ongoing litigation and hiring outside counsel and for the public defender.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried to ratify. Okay. That was item number 20. Item 21, real property transfer agreement, and it's a quitclaim deed between the city of Post Falls and our solid waste. Jamila Holmes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jamila Holmes, Civil Deputy Prosecutor for the record. The board may recall a resolution number 2021-03, that was adopted, I believe, on January 12th. This involves transfer of a portion of the Prairie Transfer Station to the city of Post Falls to provide for the contiguity that's required for the city to annex some property. So what you have before you today is the actual real property agreement that's required by Idaho Code and the quitclaim deed that would affect the transfer. I'm happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Any questions?
No questions.
How big is the parcel?
The parcel is about 1/15 of an acre, and it appraised for, I believe, $5,000. So it's right in where we thought it would.
So
It's a
kind of
sliver.
a sliver, yeah. Okay, good. Motion.
I move that we approve the real property transfer agreement / quitclaim deed with the city of Post Falls for solid waste.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Okay, so moving on to the items that we moved, which are items 5 and 6. So I'm going to take item number 5, excuse me, notice of award for construction manager and general services manager for the airport snow removal equipment building, airport administration facility at the airport. Stephen.
Commissioner Stephen Kjergaard for the record. Prior to discussing the notice of award to Fisher and the TO agreement, I'm going to provide a brief update on where the status of the project is, just so everybody's aware of it. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, that is. But before you do that, let me, you can stand or sit if you'd like, but a couple things that I wanted to address. And so we received a memo dated, well, I guess February 6th from Mr. Stephen Anderson. It is now going to become part of the record. And I'm going to take a few moments to respond or rebut, depending on how you want to accept it, some of the points that were made in this email. So let me begin. It won't take very long, take just a few minutes so that I can get through this. Okay, so with regard to some of the claims or statements that were made in that email by Mr. Anderson, let me begin. Assumptions were made that the recent increased security measures in the snowplow administrative office building projects were solely the vision of the airport director. Both were discussed even before the current board and current director were in place. Mr. Kjergaard has brought them forward, but largely because no action was ever taken in the past. Second item, and I'm referring to Mr. Anderson's email to us, it says, there appears to have been little opportunity to thoroughly re-examine these proposed actions. Assumptions were made that last week's item was deferred to get input from the advisory board and/or the airport director. That was never stated. The item was deferred to give the commissioners time to individually review the bid, speak to staff, and/or legal if necessary, and consider public comment that was received, which had been done. Let me go to item number 3 here. As you can imagine, we get a number of these. Item number 3. Okay, you're talking about additional input, which if included, if the airport director were included in our obtaining that additional input, it would constitute a serious conflict of interest. I got to tell you, I don't know what planet this came from. An assumption was made that speaking to the airport director about an airport bid is a conflict of interest. That's inaccurate. We frequently speak to our staffs for information that is necessary, even when we conduct quasi-judicial hearings. That is a common practice. If I can't ask staff for needed information, how do I make a decision? How does anybody make a decision? So that statement is inaccurate. Item number 4, something to do with disallowing comments. Assumptions were made that the email sent to Mr. Anderson meant he was not welcome to provide public comment at today's meeting last week's or today. That was never said. This board has always supported public comment and allowed it during public meetings. I might add something. Every once in a while, I come under criticism for actually allowing the public comment during the meeting as opposed to the end when it's typically called for. Today, it will be at the end. Item number 5. Okay, so this refers to a $6 million project without us allowing 5 minutes to listen to what could possibly be new information affecting our decision. Assumptions have been made that the $6 million will be paid for this building when the board has no intention of spending $6 million. Funding for each phase is still being considered, particularly for phase 2. The reference to that amount was an estimate of possible maximum cost on a project that is less than 10% into the design phase. A couple more items. Item number 6. This took some time, as you can imagine. Okay. So item number 6. It says, as a final note, this is from Mr. Anderson's email, I would like to reiterate that there appears to be something wrong with the RFQ, RFP process if there was only one respondent. An assumption was made that receiving a single respondent to the bid process indicates that, quote, something is wrong. When that is a frequent occurrence, especially right now when companies are flush with business, it's not uncommon to get just a single response. And if a single response is what we get, and if it's acceptable, that's what we go with.
But just because it's a single response doesn't mean that it's an acceptable response. It may not actually be responsive, if you will. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, and to the statement that, quote, no comments have been made, indicating that the friends, by that I mean the friends of the airport, feel their comments haven't been heard is disingenuous. When the group is using social media to share statements such as, quote, it was a perfect example of government bureaucracy, do it our way or we won't give you the money, end quote, and using images mocking the proposed project. This is a clear message that you don't think we've considered your concerns when we're trying to. Making numerous incorrect assumptions creates a boy that cried wolf syndrome. It makes it difficult to find the facts, if any, that the friends are attempting to communicate. Let me tell you something, folks. We take a lot of hits. We've been called virtually everything in the book. I stand by the decisions we make, and many of the issues that we're confronting today predate me, and I've been here 4 years, and they certainly predate Commissioners Duncan and Brooks. And to indicate or to assert or allege that we don't consider your comments is absolutely wrong. It's inaccurate. We consider comments, we take public hearings, and frankly, I think we have visited and revisited this topic maybe a bit much. Some of you won't agree. That's fine. That's my position. Stephen, you're next.
I would also say real quick, just because you get 125 emails, which I have on some things, and they're tiresome and duplicates of other emails, I don't respond to them. If someone calls me, I talk to them. I've gotten 0 phone calls on this. I've gotten a lot of email, but it's pretty much carbon copies of other emails, and I don't respond to that. And just because we don't do what a small group wants us to do doesn't mean we're not responsive. There's a difference.
Okay. Stephen, go right ahead, please.
Commissioners, an interview of what the status is.
Slow down so we can hear what you're saying, okay?
Sounds good.
Pull the mic up, too, please.
Pull the mic up and take it easy.
So the airport has been working on the snow removal building for over a decade. It was not until the FAA planned to provide funding for the new facility that planning and design work begun. This started in July of last year. The purpose of the SRE building is to provide a heated under-roof storage of airport snow equipment. Currently, the airport has 1 bay capable of handling a piece of equipment with a width up to 18 feet. We have no bays for anything larger. The bay currently is located in the R station, not in the current shop complex. Additionally, the current CIP planned snow equipment has a minimum dimension of 60 by 24 feet. With this requirement, no bays in any county-owned building can provide cover which is required for FAA purchased equipment. Nor does the current shop area provide enough space for turning or operating of the future equipment. This project also includes an airport admin facility. This need is due to the current facility impeding safety projects to address taxiway and runway connections along taxiway D and double D. Due to this, the current airport admin needs to be removed. There have been multiple comments about the estimate of the building cost provided by the county by the architect in the amount of $6 million. You must keep in mind that this cost was an estimate done by an architect for a facility that was currently less than 10% designed. This number is not a budget number, but a planning number for what a facility could cost. Since the estimate was provided, the airport has reduced the size and scope of the facility in multiple ways. Additionally, the SRE facilities are 2 separate projects that have 2 different funding sources. The SRE facility will be funded through federal and local money, the admin by local money only. With the understanding if the airport does not secure a funding plan, we will not build the admin facility. The only work guaranteed on the admin is the SRE and admin facility connection point. The current estimates from the CMGC are about 175 square feet per square foot for the SRE facility. It must also be noted that any construction using federal funds is approximately 20 to 50% more expensive than just using locally funded funds. This is due to federal requirements such as reporting, Davis-Bacon wages, and Buy American clauses. As a reminder, the delivery method chosen for this facility is construction manager general contractor, or known elsewhere in the country as construction manager at risk. In this delivery method, a contractor is chosen through an RFP process at the beginning of the project to assist in the design phase of the facility. This process should reduce the facility cost and change orders that are required during construction. However, this method does not alleviate the federal and state requirements of bidding the independent portions of the facility. This bidding will be completed by the contractor. Is there any questions on that before we go in?
No. Bill? Go right ahead.
So for the notice of award to Fisher Construction, the county received 1 RFP response. The response was from Fisher Construction Group. During the RFP, 6 firms showed interest. 3 had never attended any pre-bid meetings or submitted any information. 1 firm informed the airport that they would be unable to respond due to scheduling conflicts. And the second firm was unable to respond due to not having an Idaho GC license. And they did not feel they would be able to get that license prior to any signing of agreements. The submittal from Fisher Construction Group appears to meet all requirements in the RFP. Airport County Legal and Design have reviewed it and feel that it meets all requirements of the RFP. 2 contracts will be before the board with Fisher Construction Group at a later date. Those contracts will be for the SRE facility and the admin facility. For the design phase of the agreement, cost of both is approximately $20,000. The construction supervision cost is approximately $44,000. Once again, you are not approving an agreement with Fisher at this time. It is merely the notice of award. Any additional questions?
Keep going.
Go ahead.
That's it.
That's it? Okay, so what am I looking at here, because it goes on?
That is for the next item.
That's to the next item, okay. So we're back to item number 5, which is a notice of award for construction manager for general services manager for the airport snow removal equipment building. For the airport administration, Counsel, you have reviewed the agreement?
Commissioners?
Yes, I reviewed the notice of award as well as the RFP.
Okay. So specifically, what are you asking for here, Stephen?
There's approval and award of the notice of award to Fisher Construction.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Bill? Motion.
I move that we approve the notice of award for that's construction manager and general services manager for the airport snow removal building and the airport administration facility.
And who are we awarding it to?
Fisher Construction.
Fisher Construction.
Okay. Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Item number 6, work order 21-0002 for new snow removal equipment building at the airport administration building project with TO engineers for the airport. Go ahead, Stephen.
Commissioners, this task order is for the complete design of the SRE and admin facilities. It is broken into 2 separate phases. The first phase is the design of the SRE facility, and the second is the admin facility. As discussed previously, the SRE's facility will be funded through FAA grants and local funds, and the admin facility will be funded through local monies only. As stated, if the local funding is not secured prior to design work, the admin phase will either be paused, modified, or terminated. It is understood by TO and the airport that sections of this agreement may be modified during the design depending on recommendations made by the contractor for the design of the facility and layout. An example of this would be the structural design. The contractor is recommending a pre-designed structure rather than a custom-made structure. This change would allow the removal of most of the structural design work. This agreement is in the amount of $542,465.10. The SRE is $323,898.16 of that. The admin phase is $218,566.94. This agreement has also been through an independent fee review as required by federal requirements. The TO agreement is under WAG Architects out of Spokane by 9%. WAG Architects' estimate for the work was $593,600. The SRE portion would be eligible for federal grant monies at a 90% match or possibly more depending on what is issued through additional CARES funds.
Okay, so the remaining 10% is what, county and state?
County and state, with
County and state.
half coming from the state and half coming from the local funds.
So what are you asking of us today?
The approval of this agreement so that we can move forward with the design work.
Okay, are we approving the sum?
Yes.
And that is the $542,465?
Yes.
Bill, are you okay?
Fine.
Questions?
None.
Motion.
I move that we approve work order 21-002 for the snow remover equipment building and airport administration building project with TO engineers and the airport.
And that sum of money is $542,465.10. Second.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, going to move on to public comment. 3 minutes. Who wishes to speak?
Steve Anderson for the record.
Go right ahead.
It appears that I struck quite a nerve with the 2 of you with my comments, and I'm sorry it took you so long to read through my memo. I, on the other hand, spent most of my weekend going through a 260-page document that I doubt that either one of you have ever read. And the justifications that were contained in that document are questionable to say the least. Now, I can't be responsible for what shows up on a website that I didn't say. I mean, anyone can respond. And I take it personally that you attacked me in your opening comments prior to letting me talk. I'd be happy to debate you, but it's going to take more than 3 minutes. Now, the justification that I saw for the equipment building was simply that it would be more efficient than bringing the equipment in from off-site. There's never been a complaint that I know of about snow removal and getting the equipment out there within the 2-hour period. And taking up that property inside the fence when it could be used for revenue-producing leases, seems to me that that would have to be weighed off against that. But that was the only justification. As for the justification to the admin building, it was that it's reaching the end of its serviceable life. And the other one, which I don't know who put that document together, but it appeared to allege that there was a violation of FAR Part 77, which if you've read it, Part 77 has nothing to do with an existing building. That's for new construction. Now you folks went ahead and jumped into this thing and reserved me speaking until after you'd already taken your action. I think that speaks volumes for your desire to really debate the issue or to learn more about this. There are 3 items that I know that you weren't aware of when you wrote back to me or had Nancy write back to me last night. That RFP went out on December 29th and ran for 14 days through the New Year's holiday. Now, if you ever wanted to assure yourself that you're only going to get one bidder on something, that would be the time to do it. And I think you'd have to agree with me on that. If at the same time that Spokane International can get 8 bids for a comparable building, and this was in last week's spokesman review, it seems to me that on a project of this scale, that you might be interested in getting a few more bids. But I suspect you didn't care to. The next thing is that building in Spokane was a 30,000 square foot building. It came in at $4.3 million. This $6 million that you say so cavalierly throw aside is not something that's out there in the future. If you start the ball rolling, you've already committed yourself to over $500,000 today. A project gets its own life, and you know that. And if you've got this guy running things, a man that I have no confidence in at all as far as representing the interests of this county, I think that we're in trouble. And I do believe that you folks have been put in very high positions of authority to listen to the members of the county, including me, even if you don't want to hear from me. And I think that that proceeding with this project, even though it's only the first phases of something, you have jumped into something that is not in the interest of the county, and is certainly not in the interest of those of us out there that use the airport. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I'll ask again. Anyone else? Okay, time is 2:40. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.